Detailed analysis of the movie. The Nun 2, 2023. Part 1. Introduction and franchise context. The Conjuring universe has proven to be one of the most prolific franchises in the horror genre, offering intense stories, iconic characters, and an atmosphere that blends the supernatural with the psychological. Since the initial success of The Conjuring, released in 2013, the franchise has expanded, spawning spin-offs like Annabelle, and, of course, The Nun, which introduced one of the most terrifying figures in cinematic history, VALAK, the demon disguised as a nun. The release of The Nun 2 in 2023 brought high expectations. After the first film, released in 2018, divided opinions, the sequel promised to address flaws and delve deeper into the demonic nun's story. Audiences were eager for a more cohesive plot, more effective scares, and a narrative that felt both authentic and disturbing. In this video, we'll dive into a complete analysis of The Nun 2, exploring its highs and lows, technical merits, the construction of its horror elements, and how it fits into the larger franchise context. Get ready, because this is a deep dive into darkness. Part 2. The story and script. The plot of The Nun 2 takes place a few years after the events of the first film, again centering on Sister Irene, played by the talented Taissa Farmiga. The story begins with a mysterious incident at a boarding school in France, where a series of inexplicable and violent events point to the presence of the malevolent VALAK. Once again, Irene is called to confront the entity, now with the help of a new ally, Maurice, also known as Frenchie. The script, penned by Akela Cooper and Ian Goldberg, seeks to expand VALAK's universe, offering more backstory and connecting events to the rest of the franchise. While the premise is promising, the execution shows some issues. While there are moments of genuine tension, the film falls back on genre cliches, such as predictable jump scares and characters making questionable decisions. On the other hand, the narrative includes moments of great emotional impact, particularly concerning the relationship between Irene and Maurice. Their dynamic is one of the film's strongest aspects, providing an emotional anchor amid the supernatural chaos. Part 3. Direction and atmosphere. Michael Chavez, who previously directed The Curse of La Llorona and The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, returns to the director's chair. He shows clear evolution in his approach to horror, skillfully using shadows, sound, and framing to build a heavy and engaging atmosphere. The film's use of space is particularly noteworthy. The boarding school serves as an ideal horror setting, with its dark hallways, underground chambers, and Gothic architecture, evoking a sense of claustrophobia. The setting, combined with Marco Beltrami's eerie score, creates moments that truly grip the audience. However, a recurring criticism of Chavez's work is evident here. At times, he seems to prioritize style over substance. There are visually impressive scenes that don't significantly contribute to the narrative or character development. Part 4. Acting and characters. Taissa Farmiga once again delivers a solid performance as Sister Irene. Her portrayal conveys both courage and vulnerability, making her a protagonist the audience can connect with. Jonas Bloquet as Maurice also stands out, adding depth to his character and a dose of humanity that balances the film's darkness. However, the real standout is VALAK. Played by Bonnie Aarons, the demonic nun is an utterly terrifying presence. Even when she's not on screen, her influence is palpable, a testament to the character's impact on the franchise. Conversely, some secondary characters don't receive the same level of attention. Many of them serve merely as plot devices or potential victims, limiting their relevance and reducing the story's complexity. Part 5. Horror and scares. When it comes to horror, The Nun 2 delivers a mix of hits and misses. There are scenes that are truly frightening, particularly those that leverage silence and anticipation. The tension building is one of the film's strengths, with moments that keep the audience on the edge of their seats. However, the excessive use of jump scares can be a point of criticism. While some are well executed, others feel forced and predictable, potentially breaking the immersion for seasoned horror fans. Part 6. Visual effects and technical achievements. One of The Nun 2's biggest strengths lies in its technical excellence. The visual effects are used effectively, enhancing the sense of dread in several scenes. VALAK's design remains one of the most horrifying creations in contemporary horror cinema. The contrast between the serene face of a nun and her demonic gaze is explosively impactful, creating an image that lingers in the viewer's mind. Practical effects also shine. Sequences involving moving objects, blood, and possessions are crafted with impressive detail, reinforcing the realism needed to immerse the audience in a supernatural story. The lighting and strategic use of shadows are another highlight, with scenes that play on the fear of the unknown and what might be lurking out of sight. However, not everything is perfect. At times, digital effects clash with the overall production, creating scenes that feel artificial and weakening the immersion. While rare, these missteps are noticeable, especially to viewers who pay close attention to technical aspects. Part 7. Connection to the Conjuring universe. One of the biggest questions surrounding The Nun 2 was how it would tie into the larger Conjuring universe. In this respect, the film partially delivers. There are direct references to events and characters from other films, particularly concerning Maurice's future. The conclusion of the plot establishes a clearer link to the first Conjuring, which will undoubtedly please fans of the franchise. However, the connection isn't always seamless. At times, it feels like the film forces references to cater to fans, without them significantly contributing to the main story. This can make The Nun 2 feel more like a piece of a larger puzzle than a standalone work. Still, for dedicated fans, these references are a treat. They showcase the production's care in creating an interconnected universe, something rare in the horror genre. Part 8. Pacing and Development. The pacing of The Nun 2 is, for the most part, well balanced. The film alternates between moments of rising tension and bursts of horror, keeping the audience engaged. The first act sets the tone and introduces the characters efficiently, while the second act dives into the mystery and supernatural events. However, the climax is a point of contention. While visually impressive, it may feel rushed compared to the rest of the film. Some resolutions come off as too convenient, which might frustrate viewers expecting a more intricate conclusion. Still, the ending leaves enough threads for future installments, indicating that VALAK's story is far from over. Part 9. Themes and Messages. Beyond its horror elements, The Nun 2 delves into themes that resonate with the audience on a deeper level. The battle between good and evil, embodied by Irene and VALAK, serves as a powerful metaphor for the internal conflicts we all face. The idea of confronting fears and overcoming adversity provides an underlying message that adds an extra layer of meaning to the film. The movie also explores themes of faith, sacrifice, and the power of human connection. The relationship between Irene and Maurice exemplifies how solidarity and empathy can be potent forces against evil. These elements elevate the film beyond mere scares. It becomes a reflection on the human condition. While these themes are present, some of them could have been explored further. For instance, Irene's struggle with her faith is hinted at but not fully developed. This leaves room for future films to delve deeper into the emotional and philosophical aspects of her character. Part 10. Comparison with the first film. Comparing The Nun 2 to its predecessor is unavoidable. While the first film was criticized for its weak narrative and over-reliance on cheap scares, the sequel corrects many of those mistakes. The story is more structured, the characters have greater depth, and the horror is more effective. However, The Nun 2 still carries some of the flaws of the original. It occasionally falls into predictable tropes, and certain scenes lack originality. Even so, the sequel is undeniably a step forward, showcasing that the franchise is learning from its past and evolving. The improvements are particularly evident in the pacing and the integration of the horror elements. Where the first film felt disjointed, the sequel flows more smoothly, creating a more cohesive viewing experience. Part 11. Impact and Legacy. The impact of The Nun 2 on the horror genre and the Conjuring universe is significant. It solidifies VALAK's position as one of the most terrifying figures in contemporary cinema and demonstrates that the Conjuring universe still has plenty of stories to tell. For fans of the genre, the film serves as a reminder that horror can be both visceral and emotionally engaging. The film's legacy will depend on how it is remembered in the years to come. If the franchise continues to expand Valak's story creatively and effectively, The Nun 2 could be seen as a turning point, the moment when the narrative truly found its footing. Part 12. Conclusion. The Nun 2 is a film that, despite its flaws, delivers on its promises: terror, tension, and an impressive visual experience. It is not just a standalone chapter, but an essential piece in a larger cinematic universe. With strong performances, competent direction, and an immersive atmosphere, the movie proves that Valak's story still has much to offer. If you're a fan of the genre or simply looking for a spine-chilling experience, The Nun 2 is a solid choice. Prepare to enter a world where darkness is palpable, fears are real, and evil never rests. As the film itself reminds us, evil can be defeated, but never destroyed. Part 13. A critical perspective on modern horror in The Nun 2. To understand The Nun 2 in a broader context, it's essential to examine its place within modern horror. The horror industry has split into two main camps. On one side, psychological horror films that focus on deeper, introspective narratives. On the other, movies that embrace classic elements like monsters, sudden scares, and the supernatural. The Nun 2 clearly aligns with the latter group, aiming to please fans of traditional horror with its straightforward approach. The film doesn't shy away from its goal. It wants to scare, and it uses a full arsenal of visual and auditory tools to do so. But does this formula still work? The answer is yes, albeit with some caveats. While The Nun 2 delivers moments that are truly terrifying, it also reflects some of the limitations of commercial horror. Its reliance on jump scares, though effective at times, may alienate viewers looking for a more enduring and emotional type of horror. Conversely, the film's use of atmosphere and sound design enhances the experience, showing that it understands the importance of meticulous tension building. Part 14. The symbolism of Valak is not merely a villain. It symbolizes absolute evil, corruption, and the subversion of faith. Its appearance as a nun is a deliberate and deeply unsettling choice, representing the inversion of holiness and turning something associated with purity into an icon of terror. In The Nun 2, this symbolism is explored in greater depth. The film suggests that Valak is not merely a rogue demon, but a manifestation of human weaknesses and fears. Every time the demonic nun appears, it reflects not only supernatural horror, but also the internal struggles and flaws of the characters. This aspect makes the audience fear not just Valak, but also what it represents. Bonnie Aarons' portrayal of Valak is once again a standout. Her facial expressions and body language give the character an aura that is both mesmerizing and terrifying. It's a performance that transcends mere fright, cementing Valak as a cultural icon of horror. Part 15. Comparison with other horror franchises. Within the horror genre, franchises are a double-edged sword. They offer opportunities to expand stories and characters, but risk saturating the audience. The Nun 2 strikes a balance, delivering a film that, while connected to a larger universe, can stand on its own. When compared to other franchises, such as Paranormal Activity or Saw, The Nun 2 stands out for its focus on the supernatural and its investment in rich visual storytelling. Unlike Saw, which relies on graphic violence, or Paranormal Activity, which employs found footage, The Nun 2 opts for a more traditional style of horror, with a modern twist. This balance between classic and contemporary approaches allows the Conjuring universe to remain relevant in a competitive market. The Nun 2 contributes to this relevance by solidifying Valak as one of the central figures in modern horror. Part 16. The use of sound and music. In horror cinema, sound is as crucial as visuals, and The Nun 2 excels in this area. Marco Beltrami's score is one of the film's standout features, blending orchestral elements with distorted sounds to create a constant sense of unease. Silence is used masterfully to build tension before a scare. It's as if the film knows exactly when to pause, allowing the audience to feel the weight of impending doom. Additionally, the sound design immerses viewers, from echoing footsteps in empty hallways to Valak's sinister whispers. One of the film's most memorable moments occurs during a nearly silent sequence, save for a steadily increasing heartbeat-like sound. This clever use of sound heightens the terror, and demonstrates the level of technical care invested in the production. Part 17. Innovation and limitations. While The Nun 2 adheres to many genre conventions, it also presents moments of innovation. For example, the film subverts audience expectations in several scenes, delivering scares from unexpected angles. This approach keeps viewers on edge and engaged. This tension between convention and innovation reflects the current state of commercial horror. The Nun 2 doesn't redefine the genre, but it avoids being just more of the same. It strikes a delicate balance between meeting expectations and offering something new. And that's a wrap on today's Minute Recap. If you enjoyed diving deep into the world of The Nun 2, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next breakdown. What did you think of Valak's return? Do you agree with our analysis? Or did we miss anything? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing your thoughts. And as always, thank you for spending your time with us. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep exploring the stories that move us. See you in the next recap.